Most people think they can't retire because they don't have enough money. I think that's only part of the story. There's another reason almost nobody talks about, and I think it's keeping millions of people from ever believing retirement is possible. You see, for years, we've understood retirement as being one way. We've observed our parents, grandparents, and maybe great grandparents work 30 or 40 years and then they stop working. They either sat at home, traveled, worked on their bucket list. Maybe they lived off Social Security. Maybe they had a pension or some savings. But guess what? The world is not the same as when our parents and parents were our age. Most companies are no longer offering pensions. Social Security is not guaranteed. Layoffs are becoming a common thing. I was a victim of a layoff a couple of months ago. So I've lived through this. Jobs are getting more stressful and life has become more expensive. So I understand why some people feel like they can't or will never be able to retire. And for a lot of people, retirement doesn't just feel difficult, it feels like the finish line just keeps moving further away. Just when they think they're getting close, the cost of living goes up, healthcare gets more expensive, and someone says they now need another $1 million to retire. And on top of that, a lot of financial advice tells us that we need to save 15% of our income, max out our IRA, invest a certain amount, delay Social Security. And in most cases, there's nothing technically wrong with that advice, but it assumes something. It assumes that there's money left at the end of the month after paying bills. And for a lot of people, that's just not the case. A lot of people live paycheck to paycheck. And if your paycheck disappears at the end of the month after paying bills, you're not really choosing between investing and not investing. You're choosing between groceries, your electric bill, and putting gas in the car so that you can get to work the next day. And even for the people who finally start getting ahead, it can feel like every time they make progress, life knocks them backwards. The car breaks down, the roof starts leaking, a medical bill shows up, a family member needs help, and it can feel like you're climbing a hill that never gets any shorter. So, yeah, I understand why some people feel discouraged. People go through things in life, and nobody understands that better than me. My life didn't start turning around until I was in my 30s, and I made an entire video about how I was almost homeless and living in a Walmart parking lot. So I don't take anything for granted. And on the other side of the coin, there are some people who are financially ready to retire early, but can't because of our current healthcare system. People want to stop working, but the cost of healthcare is a major concern. And even for people who have saved a decent amount, there's always another what if. What if inflation keeps going up? What if I live longer than I expect? What if something changes with Social Security? Sometimes it's not just about the money. It's about never feeling confident that you actually have enough. So, what options do people have? When it comes to healthcare concerns, for some people, the answer isn't working full time until 65. Maybe it's transitioning into part time work that provides some income and possible benefits. Maybe it's using an HSA that you've built over time. But here's the thing, for decades, we have been defining retirement one way. And I'm going to say something radical here, and you are welcome to challenge my thinking. But the way I see it is that the world doesn't look like it did 50 years ago. Workplace loyalty is not what it used to be. Technology has advanced. The internet has revolutionized the world, and accessing information has become easier than ever. So why can't we redefine what retirement looks like to meet the world that we live in today? What do I mean by that? Well, the old meaning of retirement meant never working again. Because of this, a lot of people feel like they will never meet that definition of retirement in the world that we live in today. I think that we need to give people options, give people hope that one day they will be able to slow down at least. I consider myself retired. I don't work for a company, but I'm still putting in about 5 to 10 hours a week in what you would consider work. Does that mean I am not retired? You see, we let society define what retirement should look like. We let people guilt us into thinking that we are not retired because our retirement doesn't look like their retirement. Why can't I retire from a stressful and toxic work environment and use my skills, talent, and passion when I want to in order to earn some income? Does that mean I'm not retired? What if I retired from a job that was making me physically or mentally ill and then transitioned into retirement by first working a part time job that is not as stressful? I made an entire video about transitioning into retirement, and I'll link that video at the end of this one. But here's the thing, there are a lot of working class people who have retired from a stressful job and are doing some type of part time or side hustle work. That's just the world that we live in today. If you feel like you will never be able to stop working completely, then maybe a goal could be working towards part time work or temporary work. In this way, you will at least be able to slow down at some point. My point here is people feel discouraged because they feel like they will never be able to retire. They will never get to slow down because of the definition society has placed on what retirement means. But I think we just need to give people some options. Help them see that if they can't go down one road, maybe they can go down another road. And don't let anyone tell you what your retirement should look like. Maybe you don't want to travel the world, so you don't need millions of dollars. Maybe you just want a simple life. You just want to slow down. And that's something that I see people discuss all the time. Sometimes the solution isn't trying to reach some massive retirement number. Sometimes the solution is reducing the amount of money that you actually need every month, downsizing your home, downsizing your lifestyle, eliminating debt, or moving somewhere more affordable, or simply deciding that a simpler life is enough. You see, when people stop believing retirement is possible, they stop looking for different avenues that might help them get there. So maybe the real problem isn't that people can't retire. Maybe it's that we have been using a definition of retirement that no longer fits the world that we live in today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on why you think people feel like they can't retire. Let me know in the comments below. You see, my retirement didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly. I went from working 5 days a week to only working 2 days before eventually retiring. And I talk more about that strategy in the on-screen video. So click on that video and I'll see you there.